One of the things that I was involved in, which I'm very proud of, is the initiation of the FAST campaign in the UK. I think it's important to realise that without the research that went on, which actually occurred many years before FAST became well known, we wouldn't have had a FAST campaign. That FAST research was actually funded from a stroke support organisation. And that is one of the functions. Once stroke support organisations become reasonably large, they can initiate things. Now, once you initiate solutions to problems, you then have the issue of how do you work within systems to make those solutions actually appear in reality. And one of the important things that we had to do to begin to roll out the FAST campaign in the UK was to actually establish who were the key people who we needed to speak to. How do you actually reach those people? What sort of drivers do those people have? What's the sort of thing that's going to get them really excited to engage with what you're doing? You're going to be looking for whether there are the important economic benefits, as well as all of the moral, medical benefits that flow from whatever it is that you're pursuing. So one of the critical things was not only establishing who we should talk to, but you have to establish relationships with those people. So literally, it's about taking yourself into a position where you can meet those people, maybe not even talk about the thing that's topmost in your mind at that point, but actually begin to establish a relationship where maybe over time you feel that you can offer to go to lunch or take a coffee with someone, or even at the end of a busy day say, would you like a glass of wine somewhere because I'm passing through. And if you can begin to understand where the other people are, you can begin to understand what are the best ways to take that relationship in a way that will enable policy to be discussed and maybe to be changed. I think we were particularly lucky at that point because there were a lot of people around who understood that something had to be done about stroke. And you know, one of the problems, of course, was that the government at the time didn't see that as a priority. But it did mean that there were quite a few people we could begin to build relationships with. And once you do that, you try and build up a certain force of people who are for change. So it's not just individuals. You're actually trying to get those people to be coordinated in the way they're thinking and the direction that they're taking. And you know, that might mean that it's not about the individual coffee at that point. It might actually mean that you need to organise meetings and you actually flag up how can we take this thing forward, because we all actually want to do this. How do we do it? And one of the things that we did was to look at how might you graphically explore this as a visual thing that the public could understand and so on. Because, you know, there's nothing that's quite as exciting when you're selling something to somebody as being able to put something physical in front of them. If you think about it, it might be a brochure with a picture, a nice picture of what it is you're trying to do. Or it might be that you can show them something physical, like a video. Or it might be that it's the music that is the backdrop to the physical things that you've shown them that begins to elicit emotion. So we needed to think about how we would begin to take, if you like, a design, something physical about FAST. And that's where all the great work that was done by designers in terms of looking at how FAST should be presented and so on. And then we started showing it to people, and I could say the rest is history, but there was a lot of work that had to be done around all of that. And in fact, it took 3 years before we got the first FAST campaign, after all of that initial networking and so on. And that was some 17 years after the initial research. So research is great, but it has to be eventually translated into something real. And that means that you have to have the organisations who can push that translation into reality.